even if I'm being really irritating or being a brat, I'll ask you to go get something and you'll like, you won't even flinch. Like you'll go out of your way to do it. Like what makes you just continually do that without like moaning?
The first thing that goes through my mind is you are such a brat.
Yeah.
you are closer to that light switch right now. You are closer to the water container right now.
Yeah.
Why are you asking me to do this? That's the first thing that goes through my mind. There's two sides to it. First of all, I know you're not asking me because you're trying to make my life difficult. You're doing it because you want to be loved that way. and
maybe, yeah.
And I think that when you realize, if you're in a loving, trusting relationship, you start realizing that your partner's requests, even if they seem unreasonable and irrational, a lot of the time, that's just how you want to be loved in that moment. And when you see it in that way, you go, yeah, of course I want to love you in that way.
Rabbi, I wanted your thoughts on that. You've been a marriage counselor for quite a few decades. What do you think about that?
It's true. You ask your spouse for a favor because you want him to express his love for you. How often are you going to do that? Every 10 minutes? That is so selfish. So what he's saying is, it's okay because all you're asking for is love. And that can't be bad. Yes, it can. When you get greedy in love, it's just as bad as greedy in food or greedy in money. It's the demand for love rather than the giving of love. It's in the wrong direction. You're going in the wrong direction. Give me more. This is a loving relationship. He says, you're only asking me to do that because you want me to love you that way. Yes, I want you to love me by annoying you. There's something wrong with the relationship if she has to ask for him to turn the switch, to throw the switch on the light in order to show that he loves her.
Where do you think the wrongfulness is coming from? Which side?
Well, she feels unloved in the right ways, so she's begging for it in all the wrong ways.
And what are the right ways?
The right ways is that she knows to the very core of her being that he is completely devoted to her and that he would do anything for her. So why does she have to annoy him? Why is she testing his love? Because she's unsure. And no matter how many times he throws the switch on the light, it's not going to prove anything and it's not going to get any better. It's a bottomless pit. I think we've talked about this. A woman gets married and she's happily married for 30 years. So she's now in her late 50s, approximately. Her husband comes home one day and says, we just hired a new secretary. She's absolutely gorgeous. What does that do to the wife? Everyone I've ever asked, particularly women, say, oh my God, that's terrible. Oh, what's terrible? What's terrible? There's something wrong with the secretary being beautiful? Oh, he shouldn't have said it. I said, oh, he should just think it, but not say it. No, he shouldn't have thought it. I said, he shouldn't have thought it. He shouldn't notice that she's beautiful. What this shows is that marriage has become cruel and inhumane. That a 50-year-old woman is threatened by a 20-year-old secretary. Something's very wrong with this whole social fabric. Why shouldn't the woman say, oh, good, it's good for the business? And it also shows, imagine he doesn't come home and say, we've hired a new secretary who is absolutely gorgeous. But the wife knows that there are a lot of gorgeous 22-year-olds out there. So every time he leaves the house, she needs an anti-anxiety pill. This is life. This is cruel and unusual punishment. Marriage means, I know there are beautiful women out there. What does that got to do with me? I'm a wife, not a gorgeous. How do you get that? How do you get to where your 50-year-old wife is not threatened by every young woman, by every gorgeous woman, by every attractive secretary? And that's not optional. It's the only way to be married, is to be absolutely secure in your relationship. Otherwise, it's torture.
And then you're constantly saying, can you turn on this light switch for me just to prove that you really do love me?
Because of those 20-year-olds running around. Every one of them threatens you. This is really terrible. Terrible.
So how do you get there?
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother subject. In simple words, you get there by recognizing the sanctity of marriage. A husband would no sooner cheat on his wife than kidnap a baby. It's just out of the question. You get married, it's a sacred relationship. And if it's not sacred, then yeah, keep the pills handy. You got to live on faith or live on pills. It's one of the two.
It's so interesting that you say this, because I did not expect this to be your reaction to the video. Because one of the reasons why I wanted your response to this is because we had a previous conversation about whether we need to know the reasons for God's commandments. And you were saying that ultimately, if I know it matters to you and it's important to you, then that's enough. I can study other reasons, but that's the best reason for doing anything in relationship. And someone commented on this discussion, saying, well, isn't there a great danger of that becoming a bit abusive? Where basically I'll do whatever, anything you say, I don't have a right to know the reason, or rather I don't need to know the reason because it matters to me. And you basically, they could become almost dictatorial, like whatever, there's no room for kind of questioning and so you've kind of answered that though with this in your response to this video, because you're saying that there can be occasions where requests can be somewhat, not necessarily illegitimate, but coming from a place of unholiness or disconnection rather than just genuine need. I wonder if you could just reflect a bit on that point.
I think it's safe within reason. It is safe to assume that if your spouse asks you for something and you find it annoying, you should ask yourself why. Why is it annoying?
Yeah.
Particularly when you know that she's really asking for love. So why are you annoyed? It's telling you something. It's telling you that the request is not reasonable and it is not healthy and there's something wrong in the relationship. If you constantly need reassurance, then giving you the reassurance is not going to help because it's constant. So something fundamental is lacking in the relationship, and that's why it's annoying. A man says, I don't know, it just seems like everything I do annoys my wife. She's miserable. I said, no, wait a minute. It's what you do that's annoying her. Who's miserable here? Why? He's thinking she's just a miserable person. Maybe not. Maybe you are really annoying. So you got to take that seriously. And it's true also with children. You know, if your children are behaving in a way where you literally want to throw them out of the house, is it all you? You have other kids, and you don't want to throw them out of the house. Why this one? So yes, the kid is doing something to make you want to throw him out of the house. So get to the core of the issue. Don't say, no, I just have to be nicer. Why would any child of yours make you want to throw him out? Is there something wrong with you? You're not fit to be a parent?
I don't know. How do you discover the issue? Is it usually more to do with the child or the parent or both? Or
it could be both. It could be the child, but don't ignore it. It's real. It's real.
Yeah.
This kid irritates me to where I want to throw him out. Well, why is the kid doing that? Because he is doing it. No, he's just trying to be loved. No, he's not. He's trying to drive you out of your mind. Why?
So how do you? Why? How do you discover that though? How do you discover the issue? What's really going on?
Well, that's all of psychology is there to help. Why does a child need to get you angry at him? Negative attention, the whole business, you know. Children have personalities. And they can turn it on and turn it off as they feel a need. So what's driving that need? But in the marriage, certainly, you're talking about adults. Will you get up and get me a drink? What are you doing? Why should he get up and get you a drink? Because you love him? No, because you love yourself to such a degree that he's going to have to suffer for your self-love.
But you're also saying it's not just self-love, it's also that perhaps that other person isn't feeling that sense of security in the relationship itself at a fundamental level, where there is some moral agency on the part of the other spouse, some responsibility.
Yeah. But that's not what's being expressed. The way it should be is the husband gets up to get you a drink and you say, oh, please, don't bother. I'll get it myself. That's a good wife and a good husband.
Yeah.